If you've been watching besides my Volvos, you might have the inkling that I am a bit of a Honda Acura enthusiast, because my first car was a 7th gen Accord, and clearly today what's next to me is not only special to myself, but I think it's special to many of you as well. This week Acura has been gracious enough to send me the new and improved TLX Type S, and today I will put my bias aside because a lot of the cars that this competes with are very good as well. So today we'll be seeing if the TLX Type S will live up to not only my expectations, but yours as well. Now shall we? Welcome as you join me on this nearly 100-degree day, but we have something very special. Acura's flagship sports sedan, the TLX Type S, the top shebang for the TLX lineup. And it's in a new color for 24, which is A-Spec and Type S exclusive, urban gray pearl. It's a nice looking gray color, and it still looks very mean and aggressive on this car, but Acura offers some more vibrant colors like performance red pearl and apex blue pearl. And the MSRP of this one, as it sits right next to me, is just under $59,000, so that puts it right in the same market as the BMW 340i, the Mercedes-Benz C43 AMG, the Audi S4, the Genesis G70 with the 6-cylinder, the Lexus IS, and I'm sure there's a few others that I might be missing, but all of them are really good in this segment. But I assure you, the TLX certainly stands out. You may notice that both Honda and Acura have been simplifying their trim levels in these more recent years. Acura hasn't forgotten about the TLX because now we can only choose from 3 trim levels. We start at the base with the technology package, which is actually standard now for $46,000. Then we move up to the A-Spec for $51,000, and then the Type S like this one for about $58,000, of course including destination. It is pricier, but Acura does say that they've loaded these with more standard features in the 24 model year. Just like Type S models of the past, like the old TL Type S, Honda and Acura made these models the top shebang, and they wanted to differentiate them. And of course, it's no difference with the 24 Type S. Of course, the main difference with the Type S, and the main reason you pay so much more, is the V6 under the hood, which we'll talk about in a second. But to slow that down, you get 4-piston Brembos up front, which is very nice. You also get an aggressive front splitter, a rear diffuser with quad-tip exhaust, and because this one is a Type S, it's a valved exhaust as well. So in Sport and Sport Plus mode, it's actually a little bit louder. And of course, Acura adds all the technology that you get for an advanced package in the Type S. So you get a heads-up display, full digital gauges, a full digital infotainment screen, a bunch of features that we'll also go into in a little bit. So you may have noticed, just like their trim levels, Honda and Acura have always been pretty conservative when it comes to engine options. Not like BMW giving you 5 engine options and 1 electric powertrain in the 3 Series. It's crazy. Acura is pretty simple. You can either choose a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder from the RDX Turbo, and also the Accord with the 2-liter, which in that case, rest in peace to the Accord. Or in this case, because it's the Type S, you get the top shebang, the big motor. It's a V6 turbo that's shared in the MDX Type S as well. This is the motor that I like. Underneath this deceivingly long hood is what I call Acura's $10,000 engine. If it's worth 10 grand to you, I'm not quite sure, but it is to me. Welcome to the new era of the J-Series V6 from Honda. In this case, this is the J30 AC, a new engine that's specific for the Type S models. It's a 3-liter, 24-valve, turbocharged and direct injected V6. Of course, it has an intercooler as well. For both the TLX and the MDX Type S, this engine makes 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. Of course, those numbers are less than what you'll find from BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, but this engine still puts a smile on my face. It's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission that's built and designed by Honda, And of course, because this is an Acura, it has super handling all-wheel drive, one of the best all-wheel drive systems in the business because it uses mechanical torque vectoring. So it can send up to 70% of power to the rear wheels and 100% of power to each rear wheel. We'll talk about how well it works a little bit later, but it's already mind-blowing. Even though this is a performance-oriented Acura, MPGs are still a consideration because you don't just drive this aggressively. Acura claims 19 in the city, 25 on the highway, and a combined rating of 21. I would say those numbers are pretty accurate, but because I've been using this like how the car wants to be driven, I've been getting about 16 or 17, and you'll see how I've been driving the car a little bit later as well. But it's very fun. And this powertrain gets this 4,200 pound beast to 60 miles an hour in just under 5 seconds. Again, so it's not the fastest in the segment, but it will absolutely put a smile on your face. I figured if you're watching this, you're probably a fellow J-Series nerd like me, so we know how good these engines are. But to make them last, it's good to do regular maintenance as well. I know this is a new car, but one of the crucial parts of these is the timing belt instead of a timing chain. It's good to replace it every 70 to 100,000 miles or every 10 years, whichever one comes faster. And it's really just to make sure that your Type S lasts just as long as you do. Now, I know we're not off-roading today, but I think it's still important to know the dimensions of your car, especially a car like this that wants to be driven on tight back roads. This may look longer than the current TLX or the previous generation TLX, and it is. It's actually 4 inches longer, sitting at 194.5 inches long. You can see most of that added length is from the front of the car. Dare I say it's a little bit too much and too bulbous because the V6 really isn't that huge, but it does give it a very menacing and wide look. This is also a wide car as well, at about 75 inches wide. It does feel like you're driving an MDX on a tight road, but it still is very fun. But in terms of suspension with the Type S, you get variable adaptive 4-corner suspension. This thing was really designed to excel in all situations because in comfort mode, the ride is supple and soft for something with big wheels like this. And in Sport and Sport Plus, it's very flat and firm. It's really good. But this thing is clearly riding on some big wheels as well. These are 20-inch wheels that are special for the TLX Type S, and of course, because this is the new refresh model, it's a different wheel design. Now, I know that this is a Type S and it's a driver's car, but as you can see, it has a rear seat, so we must talk about it for a moment. It's actually pretty nice back here, and thankfully, it is an improvement from the Integra Type S. So of course this isn't a huge sedan, even though it might look like it on the outside. It's not that huge on the inside, even though I will say it's not that small. I'm 5'9" and the driver's seat is in my position. I can fit my feet underneath the seat, and you can see I have like an inch of legroom. I don't have any, like, I'm not cramped at all, and I have about an inch of headroom as well. So if you're taller than me, about 6 foot, you might have some trouble. In terms of accommodations, thankfully, for being a Type S model, it's actually pretty nice. There's air vents back here, which really help on a near 100-degree day like this. It's been 100 all week. There's also 2 USB Type-C ports below that. They've also thought about people's arms having somewhere to rest, and their phone can sit somewhere here too. There's also 2 cup holders, and this armrest again is pretty soft and pretty nice. The rear seat is soft as well. There's plenty of thigh and like lower leg support. The rear seats in this are not heated, but they're perforated, and it's a nice rich red leather, so I like it. So welcome to the driving experience of the TLX Type S. Right now I wanted to talk about how this car is as a comfy car on the way to the nice back roads, but you can see it actually is nice. I've enjoyed driving the TLX. Of course, it's not an off-roader, so we can't take roads like that, but on these little country roads that are bumpy, in comfort mode, the suspension soaks up the bumps quite well, very soft. It's nice. The steering has a lighter weight to it, but it is still very maneuverable too. You'll see probably later, even in comfort mode, you can still throw this thing around need be. Like, look at this corner. I'm in comfort mode right now. I mean, I'm not going crazy because it's a bunch of blind corners, but no problem. no problem. This makes you feel like a race car driver. It makes any situation quite easy. You can see the road right now is pretty jarring, and it's not too bad. It takes bumps nicely. Even with these 20-inch wheels, I'm pretty comfortable. The seats are thankfully comfortable in this Type S. Just like the former Advanced trim, we have 16-way front seats, so there's many adjustments. You can do thigh support and all types of things to make sure that you're pretty comfortable in here. Both the driver and passenger side seats are also heated and ventilated alongside the 16 ways, so thankfully Acura made the seats quite comfortable. And for being a sporty sedan that's also able to be comfortable, these seats are the perfect medium ground. I don't feel like I'm suffocating too much. The interior has also been a nice place to be as well, with rich materials on the dash, and because this is a Type S, there's red stitching as well. You can see the road is quite bumpy and curvy here, and it just takes them. You can feel the torque vectoring even in comfort mode, but everything is much more tuned for relaxation. I can definitely feel that this is more premium and substantial than the Honda Accord, but I still feel like it could feel nicer. But they don't have the Advanced trim anymore. This is the sporty trim that wants to go, go, go. I'm not gonna put myself into sport mode yet because we're going to refrain from that. Well, in a little bit, don't worry, but you can see it's smoother. Not floored. It gets to speed very well, and it's smooth power. That torque comes in at 1400 RPM. The horsepower, 355, comes about 5000 RPM. That's just Honda things, but the torque really makes it very smooth and linear. So in comfort mode, the powertrain, I would say, is quite refined. But again, the steering wheel is 3-spoked and leather wrapped in its Type S treatment, so we have the red stitching and the Type S badge on it. I love how it feels. It has a nice thickness for the 9-3 grip, and the steering in all modes has a great feel as well. They really perfected it, I would say. There are buttons on the wheel, of course. The left side, those buttons control audio and Bluetooth controls, and the buttons on the right side control the Acura Watch safety systems and also the gauges. Now, since we're talking about the gauges, you can see in comfort mode, it's pretty minimalistic, which is nice. In normal mode, you can see that the tachometer comes up, and there's a cool graphic on the screen as well. And in sport mode, you have a boost gauge, the tachometer, which is more pronounced. They did a good job with the gauges. They're very easy to read. And of course, this has a heads-up display, which is very useful as well. You can see the speed limit's 50 and I'm doing 28 right now, but it's nice. I feel comfortable. This thing is solid. It's a nice sedan, even if you're driving it pretty relaxed. Looking at the head unit, this has the 12.3-inch display, which uses the Acura Link infotainment system. Works pretty well, but you don't have the touchscreen like in the 25 MDX, that current refresh that brought the screen closer and gave you a touchscreen. You still have to use the touchpad down below. Now, it does work better than some of the joysticks of the past in other cars, but I would still just prefer a touchscreen. Something that's nice when you can't really see what's around the corners is the 360 cam, because you have that front cam that makes it very nice to park and also pull out of T-junctions like this. Everything in here is really nice. I've not had any real gripes with this car. But going back to the head unit, it's actually pretty good. If you kind of get used to how this true touchpad works, it's not too bad. It is kind of intuitive because wherever your finger is, that's kind of where it is on the screen as well. So they did think about it in that respect. I mainly use Apple CarPlay, but you can use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, wired or wireless. And the response of this system is good. Acura did say that they added a new processor to make it a little bit faster. So using the built-in infotainment is pretty good as well. You can turn off this tambourine type sound, but it's funny. As you can see, this also has dual zone climate control up front here. There isn't a third zone for the climate, but there are air vents in the back. Thankfully, everything is at an arm's reach even while I'm driving, and nothing is terribly distracting because they're just hard touch buttons that don't move location. As you can see below that, this car has heated and ventilated front seats. The rear seats don't have any thermal settings, but it's okay. Really quickly, I'm gonna park right here because I wanted to talk about the shifter and a few other things. Now, one thing that can be pretty confusing to some is this push button shifter. I've gotten used to it because I worked at Honda and Acura, so I've had to deal with this. But if you're not used to it, you can see I'm in drive right now. You can just get out. I mean, if you're not thinking, you can just get out. Thankfully, it puts the brake on for you, so you can't roll off while you're in gear. They kind of figured that this is confusing. They should have just made a normal shifter. And it does the same in reverse. You can see, like, oh, I'm backing up now. I'm, back out of the garage. And then I need to get the mail now. It goes into park, and it puts the e-brake on. So that's a thankful fail-safe for a lot of people. Even I've done it while filming, and thankfully the car has caught me every time. You can also see again the 360 cam here for the front camera. It makes parking this big car pretty easy, and it does feel like a big car. You can see the backup camera here, and there's 3 different views, well, 2 different views. There's a wide view like this one, there's a normal view, and then there's a top-down view, which is part of the 360 camera. So it's very intuitive, and thankfully the color is very nice. The quality of the camera is good as well. There's a button on the end of the stock right here that turns on and off and switches through the cameras as well. So we'll be coming up on some back roads in a split second, but since I'm getting onto this main road, I'll just do sport right now. We're not in a sport plus environment. You can see it really gets up and goes. Of course, it's not super duper 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 fast, because like everyone will say, oh, not everyone, but people will say, oh, it's not fast, it's slow. But that's really the toxic car guy, because everyone wants 700 horsepower. But to me, if something puts a smile on my face, I think that's good. This thing has really good power, great response, it drives great. I'm in sport mode right now. I would say sport mode is more of the road for stuff like this, where the road isn't that smooth and you want to still get jiggy with it. I'm trying to find a good twisty road. This one, of course, is nice, but you can see there's people. I don't want to be raising hell. Wow, this road looks nice. I guess I'll get myself into Sport Plus mode. You can see this thing really is a monster. Wow, it's crazy. The brakes are strong. The 4-piston Brembos, they do work well. But this car really feels the best around corners. Like, there's people that might be walking, so I don't want to be going all out around here, but there will be roads very soon enough that we can see. This long corner here. Great power. It's really great power. It's smooth and it accelerates like it's an airplane. It reminds me of my old 3-liter S60. You can also see the transmission is pretty good at low speeds. I read on Reddit, someone was complaining about how it gear hunts at lower speeds. In the week that I've been driving this TLX, I haven't noticed anything, and I've had experience with this 10-speed in other products as well, and it's been good. It actually is a competent transmission. It's very smooth. You don't feel the shifts unless if you're in Sport Plus mode. This road would have been a little bit too, wow. See, this is where this car can sometimes feel like you're driving an MDX. It's wide, and it feels wide because of the hood. So it's not the type of car that you want to be driving on tight back roads and quickly like this. This is more of the car for grand touring and like big country roads that are windy and rolling hills, which we'll be getting into in just a moment, I hope at least. I'm actually going to turn around real quick here. Let's see how low my front end is. Thankfully, the front end of this isn't that low. And you can see the backup camera and the 360 cam. It makes it pretty easy to back out onto a country road. We can get away from this really quickly. It's great, and you can hear the exhaust more when you're in Sport and Sport Plus because it's valved. I'd actually have it a little bit louder. We'll see how this road is in the reversal. I'll go into Sport Plus because Sport Plus really feels like the most complete mode for this car. Annoyingly, now I go back into the neighborhood, but the steering feels like the sharpest, the most, like the car just feels the most agile, the most athletic, the most connected with the road and also the driver. You can see I'm in Sport Plus. It's more rear biased and the suspension definitely is firmer. The steering also. It's so good. It really puts a smile on my face. It's like good acceleration. It's really good. And also with this powertrain, I don't feel like I'm beating this car up. It just feels like it's built to do it. The road looks like it's become a little bit more fun here. You can see how quickly the car just reacts to any input. But you can see, wow, it's tight here. Someone's done burnouts. It's quite tight here, so this is not the type of car to be really the torque vectoring is great. It's not the type of car to be barreling down big back roads. The brakes are really good. I really love how playful it feels. Like, look at this one. It just takes the corners with authority. Even when it's like squealing, you just give it more gas and then the car corrects itself. It's so good. So as I've been getting to know this car, I've been trusting it more and trusting the throttle more too. Because instead of hitting the brake, this car wants you to hit the gas earlier and power out of the corner earlier because it rotates. It wants you to be a madman. It's fast as shit though. Like, what? I'm just kind of letting the car speak for itself because this is the type of car you just have to drive it. You drive it and then you'll be like, oh, okay, I see why. Because you can take corners like this. I'm being more conservative, of course. Sport Plus mode, the car feels like it's ready for the track. I've not felt any brake fade. The brakes have stayed cool. Like, it really gets to soaring speeds very quickly. It's the type of speed to get you in trouble or get you killed. That's why I really like how fast this is. And like, shut up if you're like, this isn't fast. I really like how quick this is. Look at this Acura driver. But I would prefer, me right now, personally, I'd prefer to be driving an old TL Type S. We'll see how acceleration is from a stop. Once again, I'll put the transmission into sport mode as well. The sound is intoxicating as well. Wow, it's even better in sport mode when everything is one. Like, look at this corner. You can just send it through anything. In sport, wow. You can get the rear end to kick out sometimes, which is crazy. Of course, this does, driving like this requires a higher level of concentration. And that's the thing. I remember what I was talking about. Driving these fast cars like the TLX Type S and the M340i, things like that, you're going so quickly that the car can actually kill you or injure you quite badly, like this. My goodness! It can do that. And sure, this is very fun, and the car is able to do it, but an old TL won't kill you. But old TL can't do this. Holy shit, that's crazy. The old TL can't do this. I've seriously been getting to learn this car and trust it more. Instead of braking more, I mean, like, you slow down before the corner, but this car urges you, it begs you to power through the corner. It really wants you to be a madman. So we will be getting on to an official fast road. Unfortunately, I'm behind this little Toyota, but oh my goodness, doing really slow. But I wanted to show you how it is on the highway as well. BMW drivers would go on his left and just pass, but I'm an Acura driver. I'm civilized. I'm not going to do that. I wait patiently until I'm able. That's crazy. It's so strong. It's like really strong power. I can't tell you how what I was doing, but it's really strong power. Gosh. But we can put ourselves back into normal drive mode and then comfort mode. And you can see I'm at 80 right now. Everyone else is doing 80. And it's very nice. There's not too much road noise. You can see not too much wind noise at all either. It feels like an Acura on the highway. Very nice. I could drive to Cali and back, or if I was going in the opposite direction, I could drive to Denver and back and I'd be really happy. Well, Cali is that way too anyway, but you know what I mean. Even power in comfort mode when it comes to passing, more than enough. It just makes the whole acceleration experience much smoother and more refined. I will also say that its German rivals like the BMW and the Mercedes might feel even more refined than this. But this is that middle ground between like sporty, luxury, and also reliability. All the other ones will be complete pains in the butts in like 10 years. This car, I still feel like it'll be around after 10 years. I'm curious about how all the technology will hold up, but besides that, I feel like it's pretty good. And that, my friends, concludes our time with the newly improved and very good Acura TLX Type S. It's been a great time spending a week with this in all situations. It's been a great, comfortable daily driver, even with its big wheels and aggressive suspension. But I hope you guys enjoyed this time with the TLX Type S today. Let me know in the comments if you have a TLX or a TLX Type S. Fuck. But I quite enjoyed it myself, and I seriously think that anyone that is looking at this car will enjoy it. I really don't see any reason why you won't like it unless if you're snobby and spoiled. But thank you all for watching. Thanks for all the support, the likes, comments, and subscriptions. Remember to hit that notification bell for more videos like this. And before I really start sweating, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, peeps.